So you've played first-person video games. You get shot dozens of times before you die, and all the enemies around you are like sponges that just soak up your bullets. But in Superhot, one bullet, you die. One bullet, they die. And you know that phrase that time slows down in an emergency? Well, in Superhot, time literally only moves when you move. So channel your inner Neo and dodge bullets like the Matrix. And let's find out how lighting art maximizes the impact of Superhot. My name is Adam, and this is Light and Game Design. I'm going to use my years of experience as a professional lighting designer to examine the crucial role that lighting plays in game design. I hope to inspire you on your own game design journey. Be sure to click the subscribe button so you'll catch our weekly design videos, and also there are many spoilers ahead. Superhot is a really unique indie game with the concept of slowing down time during a gunfight. Superhot was an experimental prototype during the 7-day FPS Game Jam, and is a great example of how creating a unique idea as a small prototype can grow into a published, polished video game. It's clear that the developers asked, if one bullet kills you, then we need to focus on the emotions of kill before being killed. Therefore, the visual design has no rich detail in textures, character modeling, skyboxes, props. They remove all of the realism that we associate with a modern first-person shooter game, and that actually makes Superhot more emotionally real. As you play, you're actually seeing the world through a filter. It's an emotional filter of a person trying not to die. It's almost like you have hyper senses. You know where all of the enemies and bullets are immediately because they're bright red, and that contrasts all of the light gray scenery around them. There are also black objects in the world, and those, you know, are all able to be grabbed and thrown as an improvised weapon. So by focusing us down on combat visually, nothing else matters. Take a look at how the skyboxes are just white. Think about it. If you're in a real gunfight, would you ever notice that the sky is being beautiful at that moment? All that matters is, where is the threat coming from and how do I eliminate it? I don't need to see anything outside of this window in the ceiling because I need to make sure that I'm not going to get killed. The blank white skylighting has 3 very positive effects. 1. Players feel hyper-focused on staying alive. There's no visual distraction. 2. The light is clean and beautiful in itself. It's like a transcendent experience of modern art, especially while we're in a gunfight at the museum. It's also a great lesson for all indie developers. If we remove unneeded design elements, such as the sky, mountains in the distance, we also simplify our developer process and make it actually possible to finish and publish our games. But let's start looking at other lighting tricks that are being used to help the player. With the world being completely white and gray, any unexpected colored light is going to contrast and stand out very clearly to us. Like the pink spawn light that gives us a clue of every enemy spawning into play. Here I can see 2 pink glowing lights, so I can tell immediately I'm about to be flanked from both sides of the room and can react accordingly before the enemy arrive. Here's an example of 3 pink glowing spawn lights. They're warning me that the enemy are about to arrive from all different angles. So we know the developers have given players more time to think by slowing down combat time. But this lighting glow gives players even additional time to think before they even visually see an enemy. The spawn lights are a great example of the Superhot developers giving the players hypersenses in a gunfight. The environment lighting has also been designed with lots of moments where shadows can give us a clue of what to anticipate. Here we see 2 shadows of enemies with guns, so I quickly kill both of the enemy. But I notice that one shadow hasn't changed at all, so I'm subconsciously aware that just around the corner is a 3rd enemy without ever having laid eyes on him. But within combat itself, there's a lot of great lighting clues. Like for example, whenever you shoot, the muzzle flashes light, and when the player shoots, it casts shadows of the enemies on all the walls around them, making it very dramatic. It's like an action movie where the player can feel powerful. When an enemy shoots at you, their gun flashes light as well, Just look at the floor and you'll see the flash of light and all of the shadows appear. This is a great indicator of where the enemy is shooting from. That light flash is really useful in finding enemies that are not within your point of view. Watch this column as I'm engaging this enemy. The column flashes white and I instinctually realize that I had not noticed somebody was shooting from my right. I immediately step back and turn to see all of the shadows from the grating on the floor. That grating pulled my attention directly to the enemy. Watch how the great shadows fade, because they were only coming from the enemy's muzzle flash. I need to show you this moment where I truly had my own Keanu Reeves reflexes. I stepped right out of the shotgun blast at full speed. I was so impressed with my own playing that I had to rewind and look at it in super slow motion to figure out what triggered me to jump out of the way so fast. That's when I noticed that his muzzle flash lights up his body, and it only took a fraction of a second for my subconscious mind to identify that flash of light, the threat, and then to protect myself. There's also a flash of light on enemies when they get impacted by my bullets. This is really useful. Since one hit is a kill shot, I can immediately forget about an enemy once I notice the little lighting flash. That saves you precious seconds to move on to the next enemy. This is a great example of developers providing game feedback through lighting indicators. While creating this YouTube channel, I've noticed several different games are actually adding dynamic light to the projectiles and then letting the light and the environment do all of the work for us. So be sure to check out my video on Jedi Fallen Order and Doom Eternal Combat to see other examples of this. Link in the description below. Superhot even laughs at itself that it's not just a game about killing red guys, but that it actually has a mysterious plot that is constantly breaking the fourth wall with the player. I don't want to spoil the story for you, but the game does take us to many different locations, from seedy pool halls to museums and even fancy hotel rooms. But that makes a serious challenge for designers that can't use a diverse range of textures and lighting color choices. So how does Superhot create unique atmospheres for each level they design? I noticed they've done an incredible job of picking very specific lighting fixtures for many locations. Couple that light with a single prop, and the player can imagine the details of the environments without actually seeing them. Let's look at 4 examples. This bathroom has a single bare light bulb just hanging over the toilet. That light bulb and the toilet tell me that this is a dirty underbelly location. In the main hall of this level, we see decorative bulbs lights all around the bar, slot machines, and big ceiling fans. That paints the picture of this being a very hot, non-air-conditioned kind of dive bar casino. Here is a metal detector that is glowing bright, so we could assume we're trying to infiltrate a secure location and maybe kill a high-value target on the other side. Or this bar with decorative lampshades that look Japanese and very organized and planned. There are beer taps behind the bar and a cappuccino machine. I imagine I could get a great bowl of ramen and a Sapporo here. In the center of this room, there's a surgical operating light above a dead patient. Together, the light and the table tell me that crazy medical experiments have been happening here. A huge part of the storyline is that you're being observed and controlled by some evil organization. Their presence is in many scenes, but very subtle, and it starts as just a single white light on a camera. Early on, you'll find these cameras around the different scenes, but they're very easy to miss. But later on, we find ourselves surrounded by the cameras with their little white light, taunting us, like some deep state is always watching us. Even in this final level, the cameras follow our movements meticulously, and I imagine that each light is a different master watching me struggle to kill before being killed. I never knew a dozen little white lights could feel so oppressive and voyeuristic. In conclusion, Superhot is a real inspiration for myself as I prototype my own video game. They started with a simple idea: time slows down while you're in a gunfight, and in just 7 days they made a simple playable level for a game jam. Once they submitted and realized they had an awesome idea, they ran with it. But instead of just throwing every design element but the kitchen sink into the game, the developers boiled down to the essence of hyper-focus during a gun battle, and designed what a small team could feasibly polish to perfection. Well, if you guys enjoyed this deep dive into Superhot's lighting, please click the like button down below and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on my weekly design videos.